Hello and welcome to the Rainy Night Listens podcast. I'm Hailey.
And I'm Wyatt, and this is the podcast that you save for a rainy night instead of a rainy day.
Alrighty, today we are going to be talking about the infamous Patterson-Gimlin film. Have you heard of this before?
I have, as of 5 minutes ago.
Perfect. I was hoping that after I said it was the infamous Patterson-Gimlin film that you would just be like, no, I've literally never heard of this before.
Yeah. No, I definitely have before. I just don't remember which video it is. Is it I guess I'll see it here in a sec, so.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it, so that's perfect. This is one of the most famous pieces of footage in the Bigfoot world, and as one can imagine, because of its popularity, there's a lot of controversy on whether or not people think it is legit footage or if it is a hoax. So we'll start by getting the story of what led up to this film being captured. Roger Patterson was a rodeo rider and an amateur boxer. He first developed an interest in Sasquatch in 1959 after he read an article that was written by Ivan T. Sanderson that talked about it. Do you know who Ivan T. Sanderson is?
No, I've never heard that.
He was one of the forerunners in cryptid studies and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that there's actually a TV show now that just came out about people who dive into his journals and investigate what cryptids he was looking into. But he was a really well-known dude for looking into cryptids.
Gotcha. I was gonna say I've never heard of that dude before, so it's kind of weird that, just brought up here, but that makes a lot more sense.
A couple of years later, he published his first book that covered worldwide accounts of people claiming to have had encounters with these beings. And then a few years after that, he published another book that contained newspaper clippings, photos, and interviews that he had done with people claiming to have had encounters with Sasquatch in North America. Bob Gimlin was also a boxer, but he was a boxer in the Navy. He then went on to be a rodeo rider as well, and eventually got into horse training. And from what I could find, it actually sounds like he was pretty skeptical of something like Bigfoot existing prior to this experience.
So these two were friends investigating
Yeah,
together?
so
Okay.
they knew each other before this video was recorded. And so they had met and were friends prior to that.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And so, because he was friends with him, whenever Roger Patterson asked him to come with him to try to find Bigfoot, he said, "Alrighty, let's do it." According to Bob Gimlin, he was asked by Roger to come with him to Bluff Creek in Northern California because he had recently received a report that someone claimed to have found footprints over Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend fell on the weekend of September 4th in 1967, but they didn't hear about the report until October. And so it was about a month later that they had heard about it and then set out to look for it.
Okay.
So the two of them loaded up their horses and supplies and made their way to Northern California. The two of them spent some time filming the area while they were searching for the footprints and for Sasquatch. And they were eventually able to locate where the footprints were that had been reported, but most of them had either been washed out or had been walked over by the time they got there.
Through.
Yeah, because so much time had passed. On October 20th, 1967, they were riding their horses deep in the woods looking for any sign of Sasquatch. Based on an interview with Bob Gimlin, he said he was admiring the trees because they were all changing colors from green to reds and yellows. And as they were riding their horses along a creek, they were traveling upstream on the east bank of Bluff Creek. There was a large log jam that they had to go around, and then according to Bob, he was a little further down from where Roger was, and he noticed that Roger's horse started jumping and was lunging around, and then his horse started to do kind of a similar thing. And so he started trying to see if he could figure out what was causing their horses to buck around, and that was when he saw it.
Okay, yeah. This is like the most well-known
Yeah, this
film.
is where like this Bigfoot still came from. This is where like all of like the merchandise people sell, like everything is
Mm-hmm.
this silhouette, and so this is the film where this came from.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't. I'm really bad with like the original names. I didn't know this one was called the Patterson-Gimlin
Oh,
film.
hey, you're good. I know people call it like the PG film. That's why she's called like Patty, is Patterson
Yeah,
Gimlin
just
for him.
shortened.
Patterson is Patty, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why people call her Patty, is because she's from the Patterson Gimlin film.
Gotcha.
So Bob said there was a Bigfoot standing there just on the other side of the creek from us, but it just immediately turned and started walking away. Well, Roger by then had got his camera out of his saddlebag on his horse, and he was up running across the creek. He hit the other side of the bank and stumbled and kind of fell down on his elbows, and that's when it made its famous head turn, is when I stepped off my horse.
Mm. So as soon as they saw it, one of them like ran towards it with a camera.
Yeah, so
That's bold.
right? So Roger Patterson was on his horse, and it was the one that started like bucking and doing all of that stuff. From what I was reading, I guess that so Bob Gimlin did like horse training, and he would like board horses for people. And so the two horses that they had, the one that Bob Gimlin was on was like a really like well trained one.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why he was able to get like control of it a lot better. But the one that Roger Patterson was on
He
was
didn't have
more of like
experience
a
with it.
younger one
Okay.
that was like more jumpy and skittish. Like it had been worked with, but it just wasn't as well trained as the one that Bob Gimlin was on.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, forgive my dumb. What does it mean when you like board horses? Is that when you like kind of break them into being ridden?
Yeah, and I think it's whenever you like keep them for people, like you've got like an area to keep the horses in
Oh,
for
okay.
people
Gotcha.
if they're gonna be gone, or if they don't have the space to keep their own horses. They'll
Gotcha.
like pay people to keep them for them.
That makes sense. Okay.
And so yeah, like his horse started bucking around, and like there were some versions of the story that said it actually like fell over
Mm-hmm.
because it was like freaking out so bad, and so he fell off of the horse. And then while he was like trying to get his camera, the horse like freaked out and like took off, but he was
Okay.
able to get his camera beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And other ones say that like he like actually jumped off of his horse, and then his horse ran away. All of them, his horse ran away.
Okay.
So, and
I
so he was just like left on foot.
gotcha.
And so according to Roger, he shouted "cover me" to Bob right before this. So when Bob stepped off of his horse, he was holding his gun.
Oh.
But they had made a deal with each other beforehand that if they ever saw anything, that they would do their best not to shoot it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so when it turned and looked directly at him was whenever he was stepping off his horse and had his gun in his hand, and then that's whenever it looked over
It looked
directly
at
at
him.
him.
Okay.
And that's where like this still
This
from the
picture
footage
is from.
comes from. How insane
That's
is
crazy.
that? Like that would be so scary.
That'd be terrifying. It's like almost couldn't raise the gun, like frozen.
Right?
That's just freaky.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing too is like there are a lot of accounts of like hunters and stuff who have like come upon what they believe is like a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, and even whenever they have like their scopes focused on it, it looks so human-like that they
They
can't
don't
bring
want to.
themselves to like,
Pull the trigger.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's
it like
fair.
looks too much like a person, like in its face and everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, one, you don't want to shoot a dude inside a costume because you'll get
Yeah.
arrested. But two, it's like, in some world, if that is just another human, once again, you don't want to shoot them, but, like, they just look so different that you're just on that fence, but you're like, it's too human. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I could understand where they're coming from with that one.
Yeah. I feel like it would just be so unsettling.
Yeah.
I feel like your brain would like short circuit in that moment too, like trying to make sense of
Yeah.
what you were looking at.
Yeah, it just what is it called? Uncanny Valley, when something looks too
Yeah.
human but isn't, or something like that. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I've heard that
It
term
gives you
used a
like that
lot.
unsettling, like,
Yeah. Something's just not right feeling.
So, according to Roger, he claims that he came within 60 to 90 feet of it at the closest. And apparently later, he told John Green, who was another, like, really well-known Bigfoot researcher,
Mm-hmm.
that the look on its face was one of contempt and disgust, almost like it was warning them not to make another move closer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which, valid,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was also like, what, guys, like, what are you doing? I'm down here by the creek trying to chill.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a drink.
And then you two bozos show up.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like, because I've heard what was it? I think it was Meldrum when we went to the, what was it, like that thing we went to for Bigfoot?
Oh, what was the one here? Because I know that there's Squatch Fest. It was something like that.
Yeah, he said that he believes them to be like really territorial, right? So it's like they
Yeah.
take an area, and that's their area that they live in. But it's like it makes sense. Like it was more of like a warning. Like if you get too close, this is my area. So if you get,
Yeah.
I was like trying to connect dots together. That's what I would imagine, at least.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like any animal in the woods
Yeah, pretty much anything like that
is going to be
is
like,
going to stand
okay,
its ground.
I've got this much of a bubble, and if anything that I don't know what it is or I don't trust comes within that, I'm not going to
Yeah.
keep just standing there. I'm going to be trying to put distance between myself and whatever I'm perceiving as a threat.
Yeah. That's fair.
Roger said that he believes it had turned back to look at them a total of 3 times, but while it looked back the first 2 times, he was struggling to get his camera out. And so, but this is the one that they were able to like actually capture. And then later, Bob Gimlin said that there's no doubt in his mind that he had just seen a Bigfoot.
I was like, so much for being a skeptic.
Right?
Yeah, Gimlin was the one who was the skeptic, right? It was because the other guy was the confident one, and Gimlin tagged along and got the video. Yeah. So much for being a skeptic after that.
Right. And so Bob Gimlin attempted to like follow her and then ended up like losing her, and Roger was pretty freaked out because he was just on foot.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to go find like the horses and everything before they went after it because he felt like vulnerable just being on the ground with it. And so they went and were eventually able to like find and round up like the horses and calm them down. And then they went back to try to find her, and they couldn't really locate her, but they were able to find a couple of footprints, and they were able to go back to their camp, get plaster, and then come back and actually make casts of those.
Okay.
So later, they developed the film, and Bob said that he was very unimpressed by it. He said he saw a lot more with his eyes than what they were able to get on that film. And eventually, Roger and Bob fell apart because Roger was convinced that this would be the proof they needed, and he wanted to go out on the road with it, and Bob disagreed. So eventually, Bob fell out of the spotlight because he and his wife were receiving a lot of ridicule, and so they just kind of did their best to just
not be included.
Distance themselves because they weren't, like, they were being made fun of and treated so poorly that they just didn't want anything to do with it.
Gotcha.
And so, according to Bob Gimlin, he and Roger Patterson ended up not speaking again until Roger was on his deathbed in 1972.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, so Roger Patterson died pretty young. I think he was in like his 40s, but he got like cancer, and so he passed away pretty young. But according to Bob Gimlin, those two talked, and Roger like apologized, and Bob said that he forgave him, but that he still felt like a lot of like anger about how everything went down, but that eventually he did forgive him too.
Gotcha.
Alrighty,
Oh man,
it is
look at
that time. It's time for Hagen's historical word of the day.
What's it going to be today, huh?
Let's hear
Make
it.
guesses.
From the man, the myth, the legend, Hagen.
Evangelical.
Evangelical. I would not have guessed that.
Evangelical. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I don't know what these words are going to be, so I'm trying to make guesses before I hear them.
I was not expecting evangelical.
Neither was I.
But I like it. All right. So, let's go ahead and watch the original footage. So, I'm not going to show, like, the full footage because I think it's, like, 3 minutes, something like that. But it's got a lot of, like, B-roll of them, like, riding their horses through the trees and, like, all of that stuff. But let's go ahead and watch this. So the original footage is really hard to see, but you can see it walking back there. It's like crazy shaky, but whenever you think about what was happening during this, like where he's on foot running up to it, and then he hits the bank and is able to like stabilize.
And that's when it looks back.
Yeah. And so that's it walking, and then that's kind of the end of.
Oh, okay.
That. The interesting part is that, like, you really see anything very well if you, like, pause it. But if you don't pause it and watch it, then you can see it pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, the video is old, but you can still see that clearly there's something walking and...
For sure.
Yeah. So the footage was shot on 16mm film. And so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on how footage is enhanced or stabilized. But the basic version that I could get from reading about how it was stabilized is that I guess that like the original footage is gone. Like no one really knows like what happened to it. But there's like a whole bunch of like copies of it. And so what they did is they took each copy and then lined up like the background. And so they were able to do that and overlay everything and then stabilize it so that then it's just like one smooth picture versus being like jumping all over
he's
the
freaking
place.
out.
Yeah. And so, but then as far as how they like enhance everything, I don't even really know how to summarize that. But there's a super good article that I've linked like in like the sources that is on the Relic Hominoid Inquiry that breaks down like exactly how they stabilized and enhanced the footage.
Gotcha.
So anyone who actually knows things about this is like that's a pretty interesting article, I think, because they actually like break it down and like what their process was and how they did it.
Gotcha. That's fair. I feel like I'm glad they explain it because seeing that one versus the one I've seen before, it is very different.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that they explain what they did to it.
Yeah. And so here is the stabilized and enhanced footage.
Oh.
And so you can see a lot more, which like
it's a lot.
I guess that they were able to get a lot more of like the detailing from like the shadows and everything that were on the original film. And then as far as I don't know, I was like reading something that said that any details that would have been like a couple of inches or smaller, you can't like enhance it from the type of film that this was taken on.
Okay.
But everything that would be bigger than that is quite a bit easier to actually like see. Enhance.
Gotcha.
This footage has been scrutinized by skeptics and enthusiasts alike.
Always.
Yeah. Which makes sense. Like, if you've got something that's claiming to have, like, actual, like, good video evidence, you would want it to be scrutinized either way. Because if it is a hoax, you're going to want to know that and look at it and see what techniques and things like that people use. And if it's legit, you want to look at it and know what to look for that makes it legit.
Yeah.
And
no, that makes sense, because if everything was just taken at face value, like, oh yeah, that's a Sasquatch sighting, then there's nothing special about it. You know, like, oh, everybody knows Bigfoot's real, but if it was fake, then everybody's tricked into
Yeah.
thinking it, you know, and it goes into a whole thing that it shouldn't be. Whereas if it's real, I'd rather know for a fact that it's real rather than just be like, oh yeah, for sure, that sounds right, that looks
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and especially whenever there's like so many people that will just make stuff up just for their 10
Yeah.
seconds of fame. Like I like that people look into it so much and
Yeah.
like pick it apart because it makes it a lot more interesting to like look at and see like, okay, so this is what people are saying. Okay, but what about this? Or from their side, what about this? Like it makes it a lot more interesting of a conversation rather than just being like, nope, it's wrong, or yep, it's right.
Yeah, I
So
agree. One of the most fun parts is the debate usually.
yeah. So there have been a few people who have been at the forefront of claiming that this footage was a hoax and that they were involved in it personally. The first man is a man named Bob Hieronymus, and he came forward in 1999, which was a little over 30 years after the original footage was taken.
Okay.
And he claimed that he was the one who was actually wearing the suit in the video. His story was corroborated by his mother, who claimed to have seen an ape suit in his car, a friend who had also claimed to have seen the ape suit in his car, and then another friend claimed that Bob Hieronymus had revealed his hoax to him in private in the late 60s. So when Bob was asked what made him come forward after so much time had passed, he said it was because he was supposed to receive $1,000 for it and he never got it.
Oh. He waited 30-something years for $1,000?
Right? Like, just inflation alone, like, my guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Literally work on, like, a farm or something for, like, what, couple months and you'll get that much, I
yeah,
think?
Like, so, pretty interesting, but he did come forward and say that he was the one who was actually wearing the suit in the video, and he wanted his piece of the earnings that he never got.
Gotcha.
Another person who said that he was involved with the hoax was a gentleman named Philip Morris, not to be confused with the tobacco company. This man is separate from that. He owned a costume making company under the name of Morris Costumes, and he claimed that he made the costume that Bob Hieronymus wore. And based on what I was able to find, he came forward publicly with this information in 2002 on a radio show. I guess he had said that he had talked about it at a few like costume conventions and things like that. Like he had mentioned it, but he didn't like officially publicly come forward with it until 2002.
Okay.
On a radio station. And when asked why he had waited so long to bring this to the public, he said it was because he didn't want to harm his own business by giving away a performer's secrets. Like, you know how like a magician has like their the magic, you know?
Yeah.
He said that he didn't want to take the magic away from the performance that was being put on by Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin, and Bob Hieronymus.
Gotcha. Huh.
Which, as a side note, I think it's weird to claim that it would, like, hurt his business, because I feel like it would actually help.
Do the exact opposite?
Because if he made a suit that was that high quality...
That it was believed that it was actually Bigfoot for 30 years?
Yeah, or even now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's interesting to me.
I agree. I find it weird that if it got so popular, why wouldn't he try to chip in and get some of the fame directed towards his business?
Yeah, but he claims to have sold the costume, which this isn't the actual costume. This is like a replica that he made that he claims was similar to what he sold to them.
Gotcha.
But he claims to have sold it to Roger Patterson and that he mailed it to him in 1967, which is the same year that the film was taken. He then claims that Roger called him asking how to modify the suit to make the head appear larger and make the arms appear longer, to which he responded with, having the person in the suit wear a football helmet and shoulder pads, and then to hold sticks in the guy's hands at the end of the suit, so that then it made the arms appear longer than what they actually were.
Gotcha.
And so later, they attempted to recreate the suit because they no longer had the original, and this is what it looked like compared to the original film. And so here's the Patterson-Gimlin film. This is the suit that they made quite a while later compared to it. And so, which we'll kind of get into it, but a lot of like the issues that people have with it is like on this one, like you can see definition, like you can see where it kind of fits like nicely, and on this one you can see just like random folds. You can see like
wrinkles
where there's nothing, like, so yeah, like down here, like you can clearly see like that muscle
like
group on her leg
muscle. Yeah,
and then here it's got like these weird wrinkles and folds in it that like it looks like a person in a suit compared to an actual like being, if that makes sense. And so that's the argument that people have against this, is that this doesn't have the same quality as this. What do you think?
I don't know. They are pretty close, but like how much? When were the suit pictures taken versus the Patterson-Gimlin?
So the
film?
suit pictures, it was in the 2000s, and so it would have been 30 to 40-ish years after the original.
See, and that's what makes it hard to be able to be like, oh no, it's real, oh no, it's fake. It's because the difference between making a suit, or like back when this was taken, and making a suit in the 2000s, is that like it's not just, you know, not only certain things move forward, everything's constantly improving and getting better. So making a suit back then versus making a suit now, like you take any old video with any like Bigfoot sighting, any this, and make a suit of it today, it's going to look a lot more like the suit than when it was originally posted. So it's like kind of hard to try to make a comparison because there's been way too many years of development and everything and that kind of technology to be able to be like, oh no, yeah, for sure. It looks like, oh, clearly it's just a dude wearing a suit, because I'm just saying, like, it's just really easy to replicate things nowadays, even in the early 2000s versus stuff that came out back then. Like, sure, it's just a suit, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like, techniques have changed and improved. Materials have changed and improved.
Exactly. It's like pretty much everything they work on. It's like I'm sure that making suits back then, making suits now, there's way more new stuff, new fabrics, new everything made by then that's like supposed to make it look more realistic and crazy. So it's like, it's just, I feel like you can't make a comparison.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
See, I feel like I agree with you, because I feel like in addition to that, originally, like, why add breasts to it?
I agree. I didn't want to be the one to point that out because I'm the dude between the two of us, so I was waiting for you to do it.
I'm like, wow, how dare you?
Of course the guy would spot the boobs on the Bigfoot.
Classic dude behavior.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a weird thing to add into a suit. Yeah. Like, it's not unheard of, but...
Well, and like, you can see that they added it on the new suit, but whenever, I feel like, was the original one that was used supposedly in the original film, why does it look better than the one that he made? And he made this one with while having like a reference subject for the making of the suit.
Yeah, it like the original has way more details. Like you said, you can see the muscles in the leg, like in the calf, and the chest does have like a lot more shape and definition versus the suit that was made, which kind of just looks like a suit that was made and worn. But
well, like even on its leg down here, like you can see that muscle come down and where it like goes into your knee.
Yeah.
And then on this one you can see where it's like all folded up and bunched up because it's a person wearing a suit. Obviously I'm biased though. So like obviously I'm going to be like picking this apart, and so it's easy for me to sit and do that whenever
It's hard to give an unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like trying to be like, well, I feel like it can't be compared, is because
But I agree with you. Like I feel like it's hard to look at this and be like, oh yeah, that's totally it, whenever he didn't have the same materials, he didn't have the same techniques. Like if your techniques on making costumes doesn't change over that many decades, I feel like there's something wrong just business wise there. And so
yeah,
I don't know, it's interesting.
I agree. The fur also looks more matted in the original versus the remake suit.
Yeah.
Like you can see like bits like on the head, like on the original's like butt and the back of their legs where the fur is a little bit. It looks like it's sticking off, like it's matted. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, it's just hard to give a unbiased opinion on these things. So it's like I try to leave it open ended because I'm not going to sit here and tell people what to think. But I'm just saying personally, I think it's a lot easier to recreate something that looks like the original thing 30-something years later.
When you have something to base it off of.
Yeah, when you have
like a reference
picture, a video of it moving, it's kind of easy to remake it.
Yeah. So there have been some inconsistencies in Bob Hieronymus's claims about the suit as well. And so this picture, you've got Philip Morris with Bob Hieronymus in the suit.
Okay.
As well. And so, for instance, he had initially said that this suit had been made from a red horse that Patterson killed and then
used the fur to give to him.
Yes. And he complained about how bad the suit stunk because of it. But then later, he said that the suit was made from a synthetic material by Morris Costumes.
Oh.
And so, kind of weird. And then there were also inconsistencies with how the suit would be put on. So at one point, they said that it just had one full top piece and then one full bottom piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then later they said that it had separate feet pieces and hand pieces in addition to like the torso piece and the leg piece and the mask. And so like just like stuff like that has kind of changed over time. And so that's something that people are kind of like...
It makes it lose credibility when it keeps changing how it was supposedly made up and stuff.
Yeah. And then a big argument about it being a suit is made by people who point out, or I guess a big argument against it being a suit is made by people who point out that even Hollywood's suits weren't as high quality as this one would have had to be. And the two films that are pointed to this are Planet of the Apes, which came out in 1968, which is the year after the Patterson-Gimlin film came out. And then Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which came out in 1970, so like 3 years afterwards. And the costume design and makeup in these films actually won awards for being so high quality and so groundbreaking in their technique.
And they weren't like as detailed as this.
So here are stills from Beneath the Planet of the Apes and stills from the Patterson-Gimlin film with their comparative stances. And so again, like these are like groundbreaking award-winning designs. And then this is the Patterson-Gimlin film still next to it.
Yeah, it's... No, I could see it like that. If that was the best suits of the time, it's kind of hard to believe that a small-time suit shop owner would be making something better.
Yeah.
Versus
like,
movie budgets. Like, I'm not going to discredit that guy for his suits. I'm sure they're great, but...
But whenever Hollywood was dumping millions of dollars into these movies, and this was the best at the time, it's interesting how differently they fit on the actor in the movie compared to supposedly the man in the suit on the Patterson-Gimlin film. Like,
Yeah.
you can see where the spine is on this still from the Patterson-Gimlin film. You can't see that on the actor in the movie. You can see different, like, you can see where the skin would hug an actual being
Mm-hmm.
if it were real, and where on the actor in the movie it's more of just kind of like a loose flowing.
Yeah, curve.
Not that I'm like putting them down, because it's impressive. I could never do anything like that.
At the time of this coming
But-
out, these are well done suits. It's just
Yeah, but like there's very clear differences in how these two look compared to one another that makes it, at least in my opinion, point a lot more towards Patty being an actual flesh and blood being versus someone who just put on a suit and went walking across the creek.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just a gal.
I'm just a gal. I'm just a guy. Teehee.
So there have been articles written by people who have studied the Patterson-Gimlin film, and they're pretty interesting. There's one specifically that was written by Bill Munns and Jeff Meldrum that specifically talks about the anatomy of the figure in the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to point out was like go back
Oh.
one. Like the head, because they have like that, what's it called? Like their head sticks up higher.
Oh, what is it? Like a crest, sagittal crest? Something like that.
Something like that.
It's like what your what the jaw muscles like go up and like connect to, that help them like have like stronger bite force and everything.
Does it mean like how the top of their head kind of like domes way more than like a
Yeah.
normal suit? So it's like, why would a small time costume designer come up with that? One, why would he put boobs on it? Two, why would he make the head shaped like that? Like, it's just, I'm not gonna say he didn't. I'm not gonna say that, oh yeah, it's a real Bigfoot. I'm just saying, like, it's just weird that these things that were vastly different than what the best at the time was, it's just weird details that had to have been some artistic flair that he came up with on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these photos are taken from their article, which can be found on the Relict Hominoid Inquiry as well. And so I just took like little snippets of parts of their figures that they had put together. And so here they're outlining where Patty's shoulder blade would be, and how there's clearly like the line under it that would show like that there was a shoulder blade there, and then comparing it to humans who look similarly, and how we have those folds. Gorillas and apes have those same folds, but then if you look at the person in the costume, it doesn't have those folds. Like, it's just got like random folds going.
They'd have to be stuffing that suit full of stuff, which I feel like the guy would have pointed out.
Yeah.
If he was wearing the suit, that they'd have to be stuffing it in very specific places, like his calves, his thighs, his back, his biceps, his forearms. Like, they'd all have to be stuffed in very specific ways in order to replicate muscle definition. So
Yeah. Well, and like Meldrum's like talked about how in like some of his courses that he'll teach about like anatomy and stuff, that he'll pull up the Patterson-Gimlin film and pull up stills, and he'll have his students point out the different muscle groups that they can identify on Patty in the Patterson-Gimlin film.
that's cool.
Also, as another side note to the side note, when we listened to Meldrum talk about Patty, he had talked about how scientists at the time, that like the ones who actually like looked at it or like gave it the time of day to like look at it, thought it looked absolutely ridiculous because this being had an ape upper half but then had legs like a human. And it was immediately swept away because there really wasn't a lot of evidence to support any other bipedal ape species anyways. And so clearly it was just fake.
Yeah.
Then, in 1974, Lucy was found which her species, Australopithecus afarensis, was discovered to actually be bipedal. And so it's kind of interesting that the footage was taken also before we really even knew that there were any other hominin species that primarily walked on two legs. And
They just gave up on it after that.
yeah, well, and
That's
like, why, if they were trying to film what they believed to be like an ape man in the woods, why wouldn't they be pretending to walk like an ape in the woods? Like, why would they have been like walking on two legs if there wasn't any?
Yeah, any show of any type of ape that would do that, walking on like feet and knuckles or on
Yeah.
hands and feet. Like I can understand that. Why would they just make one walk on two legs out of nowhere? It was until Sasquatch sightings were actually a thing that people started thinking of them as walking on two legs. So, and what was it? I had an idea. This is what bothers me about that kind of scrutinizing from professionals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the whole concept of science is to keep an open mind. We don't know everything out there. We're never going to know everything out there. That's the
Yeah.
point. You work on questions, thoughts, like possibilities. So it always bothers me when it's like, oh, so and so is professional, like this and this was like, oh no, that's not real because of this. It's like, well, we just don't know. Like, sure, some things guaranteed. Like, oh yeah, if I drop something, it's gonna drop. That's gravity or something. But it's like when they're like, oh no, there's no apes. There never have been apes that have walked on two legs. When new species are discovered every freaking day. So it's like, it's dumb that they're so dang confident in their own intelligence that it's like, oh no, that's impossible. That can't happen. It's like, well, we were apes. Now we walk on two legs.
Yeah.
Weird.
But
you
there
know?
are people who get mad about that.
Like
That
that.
humans are apes.
Yeah, that's true. Everything. It's.
I think one thing that gets me too is I remember seeing like a comment that's because I saw like the Patterson-Gimlin footage put on like TikTok, and I was looking at the comments, and like you have your normal like, oh, 100% real, no doubt in my mind, and then you have the other like 100% fake, no doubt in my mind,
Yeah.
But there was one specific one that was like, this isn't real, and its existence wouldn't matter even if it was. And it shocked
That's
me.
aggressive.
Yeah, but like it stuck out like so much because I was like, what do you mean it wouldn't matter? Like it would be insane if it were real. Like you're telling me that if there is another bipedal ape species living in North America where there's not supposed to be anything like that, and there's not really like fossil evidence of something like that being here, you're telling me that wouldn't matter?
That wouldn't be important.
Yeah, you're telling me it wouldn't matter if we found another branch off of like the human evolution scale, like even if it's not a direct like this ancestor of ours, like you're telling me that wouldn't matter? Like every discovery that is made matters because it makes such a big impact on the way that we think about and look at the world and where we came from.
It's like, once again, what I was saying about science. It's the process of understanding and not understanding. If something like this exists, that helps people understand more possibilities. Like, people find a new species, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is nothing like we've seen before. And then all of a sudden, they start to realize that that's like branching sister species that, bring into like what is nowadays or what was back then. So it's like, every single new thing, every living or used to be living thing played a part in how everything came to be eventually. So it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, not to be rude, that's the most closed-minded thing I've heard in a while.
Well,
like,
that's what surprised me. Like, I don't know. Like that, it really did just like stick out to me like so much because I was like, what do you mean it wouldn't matter?
Yeah.
Because it absolutely would matter. It would be like earth-shattering kind of matter.
It's every new thing we can learn is important. The only way to learn new things is by learning new things.
Yeah.
I know, it's like every new thing we learn brings us further along as a species, intelligence-wise. So it's like, why wouldn't it be important?
Yeah.
oh, there's like if I heard, oh, there's a new type of flea that was discovered like across the world somewhere, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's not important. It's like, oh, that's pretty interesting, you know? It's like, oh, this one works differently than a normal flea. It's like something that small is still important in the grand scheme of things, you know?
Yeah.
Like this one evolved to not die to certain insecticides or something, and it's like not insecticides, but you know,
Yeah.
it's I feel like every little thing is important when it comes to the pursuit of knowledge.
I agree. So there's another article on the relic hominoid inquiry that was written by someone who is board certified as a plastic surgeon
Mm.
and has a medical doctorate along with a
Mm.
whole list of other accolades.
A whole lot of papers with his name on it.
Exactly.
I'm not going to say it doesn't do any of those things. It does. It's just once again a so-called very smart person being like, I don't know what he's going to say, but it's starting to sound like he's going to have a negative opinion on it. So we'll see.
Well, based on this article, the writer states that because of their field of study when it comes to changes that happen in adult bodies as they age and their understanding of that,
Mm.
that they believe that Patty was a mature adult female.
Oh, this is like a 4 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Usually when people start stating all of their titles, it's to try to discredit it. That's surprising.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just jumped back to the picture that shows her because I thought it'd be interesting to look at it. But they said that they based this off of a few different observations that they made. The first observation has to do with the breasts and where they sit relative to her chest region. The author states that they tend to have the same characteristics as those of a human woman who has gone through multiple pregnancies. Because the tissue has to expand in order for a lady to be able to feed her baby, and then once they're done, they retract back down, but the skin is like stretched to make extra space. So whenever there's nothing else left there, they're gonna sit lower. And
okay. And then when it happens again, it does it again, and then they sit lower. Okay.
And then going along with that, the author points out that there are a little bit of like folds that can kind of be seen like along like her midsection that are also characteristic of skin that has had to grow to make space for a pregnancy. Again, much like in human women.
That's crazy.
And so you get kind of like this fold that is where all of the loose skin goes whenever there's not a baby in there to,
you know,
make it stretch and take up space.
Yeah.
And then in addition to those things, the author points out that you can see clearly defined muscle groups that move along with the being that would not move if it were a suit. And so, like, they've pointed out that even, like, the shoulder blade, like, as it's, like, swinging, you can see the shoulder blade, like, shifting its positions as it's, like, turning to look. Or as she's, like, walking, you can see, like, the thigh, like, make, like, that jiggle like they do whenever humans take a step, because you've got so much muscle and skin and, like, fat and everything that, like, you can see all of that move whenever she's moving as well, which is a lot harder to get whenever, like...
It's a suit.
Yeah, like, they'd even talked about in, like, superhero movies, right? Like, where they'll kind of, like, pad, like, muscle groups on, like, actors and actresses, that it makes it look like muscle, but it doesn't move the like
way
you would expect it to as they're moving. Like, it moves with their arm, but, like, you don't see them interacting and changing as they're moving.
Yeah, like when you do certain things, like let's say you like pick up a heavy object, your arm isn't just going to look the same. Your muscles are literally like tightening to try to make up for the fact that you're picking up something heavy, or like landing really hard on the ground. Like let's say, like, you know, imagine Superman landing. His legs are going to like tighten up and the muscles are going to be moving.
Yeah. Know? Well, and then another thing that they point out is the proportions of her arms aren't the same proportions that they would be in, like, a human. Like, the length of her upper arm compared to her forearm don't match the proportions that human arms are sitting at, and that they're a lot longer. It's kind of interesting too because because they were able to get the foot casts of like some of her footprints, they've actually used that to estimate like her height, because in some of the stills you can see like her foot, like whenever she like lifts up her leg, you can see her foot.
How long it is in comparison to...
Yeah, and then they
Okay.
use that to, because they know how long the cast is, and so they use that to like estimate how many
How many feet?
literal
Liter...
feet
Yeah.
she would be up, and so it's between like 6 to like 6.5 feet tall.
Yeah, so it's not anything humongous. It's
Yeah,
still attainable within like the what we know of Bigfoot size.
yeah, but it's just kind of like interesting. Like there's again, like on their feet, whenever she's walking, you can see that like whenever she steps her foot down flat, whenever she's lifting up her foot, it bends in the middle.
Oh, does it in the video?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I wasn't looking at her feet. I was like,
Oh.
I like to watch like the sway of the arms and the leg, like seeing the muscles in the leg.
Yeah. I don't think I didn't include like, because there's the footage of her like walking and like does the where she does like this look back.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like that first piece where she's like initially like walking away that was like super like shaky on the original footage.
Okay.
And so I didn't include that one in here, and I should have, but that's what Meldrum attributes to like the mid-tarsal break, because like in some ape species they have that because it helps give like more like force whenever you're like
When
lifting off, as though
bringing
you're
your
like
foot up.
climbing trees or anything like that. Like it helps give you like that extra like
Yeah.
oomph,
Yeah.
and so that looks consistent according to them with the mid-tarsal break that's seen in like apes, where on ours we've got like a stiff ridge in the middle of our feet
Yeah.
that doesn't just bend like that, but
'Cause-
in the footage of her like walking away initially, you can see her feet like bend like that too.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
It's
so-
interesting. I didn't know anything about that whole thing with her feet. I've never heard that one.
oh, maybe I'll need to do an episode on that.
Yeah, just like more like anatomy specific episode or
Yeah.
something.
Because it's super interesting. But I will say that I think anyone listening should go and like read these articles, because they've got like a lot more articles on there too that aren't only about the Patterson-Gimlin film. Like they've got a whole bunch on there, and they're all like peer reviewed, and they're written by people with all sorts of different credentials and
Yeah.
things like that. And so it is super interesting.
Yeah, we're not doing these to make you think of our opinions. We're doing this because we want you to have your own opinion. Like go, rewatch this film yourself, start to finish if you want. Go read the passages that people put out for these. Like I want other people to just know and have their own opinions on it, you know?
Yeah.
Sure, it's real, sure, it's fake, but I want you to at least understand it before you say if it's real or fake.
Yeah, like it again, I'm biased, but I've
Yeah.
also at least looked at what people who claim it's a hoax are saying too.
Yeah.
And so I want people to do that as well, like even if you walk away from it not believing it, then but at least you like looked at both sides
Yeah.
too and could see what
Like
went into both.
If you're a believer, understand where non-believers are coming from, and if you're a non-believer, at least understand where believers are coming from. Like there's people are putting science behind this. They're not just looking at a video and saying, "Oh no, that's not real." Like people do try. Like this is something that people care about and want to understand.
Yeah. So yeah, I would recommend going on to the Relict Hominoid Inquiry and reading on some of their articles, because yeah, they talk about Bigfoot, they talk about like Yeti, Orang Pendek, like they've got all sorts of stuff that they talk about, and so it's pretty interesting. But that is all that I've got for the Patterson-Gimlin film.
I think that was a good one.
Thank you. It's pretty interesting. Like, there's a lot of people who have put in a ton of work on studying this, and so it's pretty cool. What do you think about the footage?
I think it's really good. I personally, think that it's more like I believe she's pointing a finger gun at me. I believe personally that Bigfoot is real, and I think that this film is probably one of the most real like video depictions we've had of one. Because it just you see Bigfoot sighting videos all over the internet all the time, but like look at that, and like we pointed out, look at muscle groups. If it's like a stiff pant leg looking leg, then chances are it's a suit. But like, I personally believe he's real, but trying to not sound biased. If Bigfoot is a real living creature, this is probably one of the best videos that would support that.
I agree. I feel like it's super interesting. I feel like it'll never be 100% accepted until there's an actual like body of one.
Yeah.
That gets brought in, but I agree that I feel like this is a very, very cool video that was taken.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And so, yeah, let us know what you guys think, though.
Yeah, and you don't have to agree with us.
Yes, you do.
We'll yell at you if you don't, but you don't have to.
I'll cry. I'll upload an entire episode of just me sobbing.
I'll make sure it happens.
I'll make my PowerPoint just different videos and photos of me sobbing.
Different angles.
Face reveal, I'm like crying with a peace sign up.
It's a Bigfoot, like a picture of Bigfoot behind you with a heart around it, but it's like a broken heart.
Yeah, so anyways, thanks guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.